It's me! Yoko Rizoni. I'm here. Out of nowhere. I didn't even think I'd be streaming right now. But here I am. Doing another one. Two literally in the same week. I ain't even impressed myself. But anyway, I'm here. Sup? As always, I need to prepare my goddamn phone for this. So otherwise, give me a slight second. I'm gosh darn tired, as always. But let's do this, you know? If only my dashboard would just like actually do the thing where it says I'm up. I swear Twitch has been having an issue with this lately. It's not cool, yo. Not cool. But otherwise, I got positivity bot in here. Not sure who brought that there, but hey, I think we all need to be positive sometimes. I kind of dig it. There we go. It's popping up now. Anyway. Alright. So, if we load up from the previous save we have here. Right over here. Last time, it turns out Yua was really a two-sided bitch. Excuse my language. She was a two-sided bitch that turned on Takumi and she assumes that we're the killer of this whole new gen thing. But we aren't in hindsight. So that's where we are right now. So buckle up, and we're gonna be here for like 2.5 hours or something, 2.5. So off we go. I plugged in my PC while stuffing my face with pieces of fish sausages.
僕じゃない。
At last my serotonin wallpaper appeared on my monitor.
僕がいるべき世界は。
Poor guy, dude. I instantly started up into it without a second's hesitation.
ここじゃないんだ。
Oh, we're in chapter 2, I think. Beep beep. Please hurry up and board the bus for the field trip. Nishijo Takumi lay sprawled on a tatami-covered floor with a colored pencil in his hand. It was yellow, the one he held several minutes before it was red. He reclined on his sketchbook, almost covering it with his body, as he ran the pencil across it lightly. Takumi loved to draw. He loved it so much that even during school, he always doodled in the margins of his notebooks. The TV, which had been turned on even though no one was really watching it, was currently playing the morning news. To Takumi, who was still only in 4th grade, the news was nothing but boring stuff. That's a mood. So he didn't look at the screen. Beep beep. 300 yen for a candy. He was drawing a yellow bus. Pretended he was the bus driver. Bus is full, so we're going to take off. Beep. He brought imaginary scenes into reality through his drawings. He worked so energetically that there were many times that his lines went off the surface of his sketchbook onto the tatami. Each time, Nanami, who was reading manga nearby, became angry and grumbled, "Geez, you mustn't get it dirty," even though she was just his little sister. Unconcerned, Takumi continued immersing himself in his drawings. But when he reached a stage of drawing people in the windows of the bus, Takumi's hand stopped. and he deliberately tore apart the sketchbook. The day before the fall field trip, Takami's parents had suddenly told him, "You can't go on the field trip." He was looking forward to it this whole time. He was overexcited since the morning, so much that his heart pounded as he wondered how soon it would be tomorrow. He simply couldn't bring himself to accept how his parents had callously sentenced him. Weeping, he insisted he would go no matter what, but it was futile. Regardless of what he said to them, his parents wouldn't listen, telling him only, "You can't, and we're only looking out for your best interests," over and over. Burrowing over his head, Takumi trembled with such frustration it was as if he were about to rip the mattress to shreds. He loathed his parents from the bottom of his heart. At the time, a field trip had been a tremendous event for Takumi, one sufficient to induce this level of passion in him. Though everyone else in the class could go, he alone could not. From Takumi's point of view, it was all too unreasonable. Takumi's world was a lonely one. Their world was full of fun and passion. He almost had the sense that he was the only one to have been cut off from the rest of the world. He couldn't forgive his teachers, his classmates, everyone had left him behind. Nor could he forgive his parents for their abrupt and unfair sentence. This began to transform into hatred towards his parents and classmates, biting his lip hard enough to make it bleed. He continued repeated curse-like words to himself. "None of you should be able to go." Next morning, the telephone has been ringing off the hook since the early morning. Each time his mother answered it, her response seemed more and more unsettled. In the end, Takumi couldn't even get a bit of sleep. It was a little past 9. Nanami sat on the cushion in a ladylike manner, reading manga. The day before, she told Takumi, "Nana's gonna stay home from school too, and be with her bro." Now she was there near him as if it were perfectly natural. Their father had already gone to work and was nowhere to be seen. Their mother was so busy answering the phone that she didn't have the time to make breakfast. There's no need to go to school today. Still sulking, Takumi opened his sketchbook and began drawing to clear away his gloom. But his irritation wouldn't go away, and right when he tore up and flung his sketchbook away in annoyance, Nanami raised her voice in confusion. Takumi thought she was talking about the drawing he'd been working on. Her eyes were glued to the television. Nanami yelled for their mother, who was now responding to another phone call. Listening from beside her, Takumi absentmindedly followed his sister's gaze to the TV screen. The screen showed the spectacle of a fallen highway overpass. Only an area of about 50 meters in size had collapsed. Unfortunately, a single bus that had happened to be passing over that one spot became caught in it and lay toppled over sideways beneath the overpass. It was indeed the bus that Takumi was supposed to have ridden. The bus that all his classmates had been riding. A single glance was enough for him to imagine most of what had happened. His classmates were reflected on the screen. One was crying, one had his forehead covered in blood, one has been laid on a stretcher and carried off to an ambulance. A pale-faced reporter described the circumstances of the accident, but Takumi didn't really understand what he was saying. His mother stood stock still at the entrance to the room, face pale, still gripping the phone. Is dead. For some reason, Takumi was certain of it. Everything being shown on the news right now bore a powerful resemblance to what he had envisioned in frustration and hatred the previous night. One thing alone resided in Takumi's heart. the peculiar conviction that he was the possessor of precognitive powers. An ESP investigation TV program he had seen long ago was carved into Takumi's memories. The precog who appeared on that program had startled the contemporary world with his display of overwhelming supernatural abilities. In one test, 12 items were to be placed in boxes labeled from 1 to 12, and the precog was to sit in a different room, with cards that had the item's name on them, and predict which boxes they would be placed into. Only afterwards would some staff member in a different room actually place the items in the boxes. When they tailed off the overlap between what was predicted and the box's actual contents, the precog's 90% success rate made the show's host go wild. As he watched, Takumi played along by making predictions at the same time as the precog, with the results that he got every single one right. Of course, he didn't tell anyone about it. That was why too, he saw the incident on TV and thought to himself that his foresight had been correct.
クラスの半数以上の子が怪我したらしくて、はあ、なんてこと。
Takumi's mother began to embrace him, but he slipped out of her arms and crawled to another corner of the room.
でも、本当によかったわ。
His mother murmured emptily. There you go. Her gaze swimming through the air.
今日、タキちゃんを休ませておいて、本当によかった。
Takumi felt like vomiting. Everything was rotten, he thought. So what if he had precognitive powers? It took a mere instant for his heart to freeze. For some time afterward, Takumi stopped speaking. He was literally mute. He wouldn't let a single word out in response to anyone. His becoming mute worried his parents, who started becoming more and more protective. As they thus started to seem dumber and dumber to him, Takumi ended up deliberately playing the role of a wordless boy. It was his way of getting back at them, he thought. Noticing that he stopped speaking, Takumi's mother took him to the psychiatrist ward of a general hospital. He was diagnosed with PTSD. Since he didn't actually have PTSD, of course, he didn't take a single dose of the medicine they gave him. He only pretended to take it. Takumi's parents didn't catch on to the fact that he was acting. And even when he saw them fretting about him and racking their heads over him, he didn't feel the least bit apologetic. See something? And that's it, I guess. I think we're in chapter 2. Yeah. Everything feels like a lie. The world's full of fiction. Furthermore, it seems like everyone's ill will was directed at me.
いつもあなたが使っているチャットルームへログインして自分で調べてみてください。私の言っていることが間違っていないってわかるはずです。それと私が言ったことは全部本心です。これだけは信じて。
After laying out her incomprehensible opinion, Yua tacked on that one last part and vanished from before me. Like hell I could believe her. Got so nervous to say believe me after deceiving me? No matter what, I didn't want to acknowledge my everything, which Yua had thrusted at me. I wanted to think that her calling me Shogun had merely been idle words or ramblings. But when I looked into the chat's backlog, I saw that she wasn't wrong about timestamps not matching.
僕は無遊病なの。
I hadn't been sleeping when Shogun posted his part of the chat. It was an incontroversial. That's a long word. Holy crap! It was an incontrovertible fact that I had gone to Ad Cafe at the time, and I hadn't fallen asleep, so I couldn't be a sleepwalker. then what did it mean that I didn't have any memories of posing as Shogun? Alternatively, someone other than myself can control my body. Ridiculous. To prevent myself from gaining even more stress, I escaped from reality to another fictional world, Ensue. Even everything about Ensue was a lie, because when you got down to it, it was a world in a game. But in Basilid, I could become Neidhart, an existence practically on the same level as God. I could accept this kind of lie, this kind of fabrication. I wanted to stay here, I thought. What's wrong with that? Or maybe Ensue itself was a real thing, and this world was fake. Perhaps a game, for instance. Maybe Nishijo Takumi was the fictional existence, and Neidhart was my true self.
ねえ、ナイトハルト。
I called to the paladin in the center of my monitor. Am I controlling you, or are you controlling me? Which is it? Are you real, or am I the avatar? What if the world I was in right now was a game? That would explain everything. If, in the same way, I was watching the Neidhart inside my monitor, if I too were being watched by someone, whose eyes are those eyes? That person would have to be the player controlling me. If so, I'd like him to play my role better. But an avatar can't voice complaints. It would make sense if Shogun and I were the same person. Come to think of it, Liselota was in a similar situation. It was impossible for Neidhart and Liselot, whatever, to ever exist in Basil at the same time, because they had only one player. Me. Maybe in a similar manner, Nishijo Takumi and Shogun couldn't exist in this world at the same time. One could also contemplate the possibility that it was a bug. Speaking of bugs, my run into weird girls and mass murder cases might have been due to a bug as well. The image Shogun had sent me flickered across my mind, and I held my head. I shook it despairingly from side to side. I want to run away from everything. If there's really a player out there controlling me, I'm begging you, please reset me and rebuild me once more from scratch. What now? Poor guy. Shit, dude. Is it loading something? Okay, cool. The university's hospital waiting room was packed with old people. Wait. I need to fucking read that. I'm so sorry. I need to read that backlog. Oh my god, that's a hell. Waiting room was packed with the old people watching their turns to be seen by a doctor. Nothing about this table or music. Okay. That was a hell zone and a half. Sorry about that. Alright, let's continue. It was enough to make me think that time had stopped. Worse, the air was stagnant, as befitted the stench of disinfectants, and everyone had dark looks on their faces. Try to spend 5 minutes in a place like this, and you get depressed enough that you want to die. I don't like hospitals. Since I was little, I've been terrified of how there are hardly ever any traces of human presence in the hallways beyond the lobby. Though there tends to be lots of people in the lobby itself. It was almost as though the scent of death lurked in those hallways. I thought that this itself was the hospital's true face, and that things far more horrifying and eerie were hidden at the ends of the corridor. That was why I hadn't really wanted to come here. But there was something I needed to verify no matter what. And so, unable to avoid visiting, I attentively waited for my turn. Even after I entered Ensue, the words Yua had left with me spun around and around my head, making it impossible for me to concentrate. As a result, I worried about this, that all the way until the morning, and became seriously scared that something about me might be abnormal. By coming to his hospital like this, I hoped the doctor would give me their official guarantee that Nishijo Takumi is perfectly normal. I wanted to prove that Yua, not I, was the one with the issues. I was used to coming to the hospital psych ward, although I unthinkingly nodded when the young lady at the desk asked me if it were my first time being examined here. Ever since the aforementioned bus accident, my mother had brought me here at regular intervals. When I entered middle school, the doctor responsible for me diagnosed me as completely cured. Because I stopped going here, it had been about 4 years since my last visit. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, there we go. My bad. My initial... I legit don't know what to put here. We're kind of getting to the point where I don't remember anything now. But, I want to say positive delusion? I'm going to do a save here. Yeah, like I said, we're getting to that point where I'm not even sure what's correct. So, I'm going to go with a positive delusion. Just to give this poor guy a break. Wouldn't you give him a break at least? Like, God, you know? Anyway, sorry about that again. My initial doctor was Professor Moroku, said to have been highly influential in his field. But after only a few visits, he switched with one of his pupils. Though called a pupil, he wasn't very young. If anything, he looked older than expected. Last night, I suddenly recalled that doctor. Dr. Nakashina's words.
ここは病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
I hated a hospital, but he was very kind to me. I had the impression he was a good person. Even then, I had utterly succeeded in deceiving all the adults around me to the very end. Dr. Nakashina was the one who saw through me and declared me fully healed.
あの人に調べてもらえれば。
Oh, I see what we're doing. I know what the delusion means. What would he say if he knew I turned into a gross otaku? No, it's been too long. Must have forgotten who I was in the first place. I was soon called to the examination room. So much for my thinking that I had to wait a really long time. Why had there been so many people in the lobby? It'd be quite a twist if they were being paid to sit around there and make a hospital seem popular. Nah, it was a different room from 4 years earlier. When I entered, a familiar face was there to greet me.
いやー、西條君。
Yeah, I knew it. Dr. Nakashina put on an amiable smile, stood up and offered me his hand. Realizing that he wanted a handshake, I hastily returned his grip.
また君に会えて嬉しいよ。いや、嬉しいというのは変かな。君にしてみれば、またここに来るというのは辛いことなわけだからね。
What a good soul, this guy. I like him already. It had been 4 years since we'd seen each other, but Dr. Takashina, was incredibly friendly. I'd been kind of nervous, but all at once, I find myself able to relax.
それで、今日はどうしたんだい？
Dr. Takashina urged me to sit, so I settled into a chair. Perhaps because he released me from anxiety, I spoke about everything that happened to me and everything that might still happen to me in one breath. Being unaccustomed to talking made me get blocked up countless times. But Dr. Takashina kept listening and nodding with a serious look on his face the whole time, without trying to rush me. I talked about all of it, of course, from the demon girl to Yua. It occurred to me that it might be dangerous to tell him, but I had no one else to rely on.
結論から先に言おうか。
After hearing me out, Dr. Takashina briefly fell into thought, then opened his mouth.
君は正常だよ。
Of course, Takumi wanted would hear that. I gave him the choice.
何の問題もない。
本当ですか？
I could imagine the bad delusion meaning he's not normal, he's actually the killer.
もちろん。
Those were the words I had hoped for above anything else, or any others. I had come all the way to this hospital just to hear them. I had been fearful, not knowing what I should do if he told me. You're abnormal. But I was so glad he'd been the one to examine me.
むしろおかしいのはその楠木さんという女性だね。
Of course you would be asking, as he said.
西条くんの話だけで判断するのは難しいが、おそらくその女性は精神的な障害を患っているだろう。今後君に危険を及ぼすような行動に出る可能性がある。すぐに警察に通報しよう。
え？
The police? That might indeed be the safest approach. Yule was insane. She was weird in the head. I shudder at the thought that she might start stalking me again.
もちろん僕も責任を持って君を保護するつもりだ。
Looking at me reassuringly, he patted me on the shoulder as though to encourage me. He even handed me his business card. His cell phone was printed there.
何か問題が起きたらいつでも連絡をくれて構わないよ。24時間いつでも君のところに飛んでいくからね。
いいんですか？
当たり前だよ。僕は君の主治医なんだから。
I was on the verge of tears. I thought from the bottom of my heart that I was truly grateful to have been placed under this man's care. Such good doctors might be quite rare. Must be quite rare nowadays.
悪魔女のことについても通報した方が良さそうだね。西条くん、君の見たその女がニュージェネの真犯人で間違いないよ。これはものすごい目撃証言だ。
Dr. Takashina seemed a little thrilled, but it didn't come out of his voice. His manners of speaking was as soothing as ever.
事件は西条くんのおかげで解決だ。君は渋谷のヒーローだよ。僕はこの瞬間に立ち会えて実に光栄に思う。
I was a hero? This was an insult. Someone like me could never be a hero. But once I began imagining it, my face started flaming. Shibuya's female middle school student and high school students and college students and the office ladies would all see me off with squealing cheers. I'd become suddenly popular and charismatic. It'd be cool to become a TV personality. Since I don't like being in front of a lot of people, I created a startup business instead. And I'd make a killing as a charismatic company president. I'd be in a harem situation with a lot of gorgeous secretaries waiting on me. Of course, I'd trigger flags over all of them, and they'd be soppily in love with me. I'd live in a high-rise apartment of Roppongi and employ a bunch of cute maids, like a maid cafe meant just for my personal use. Naturally, they provide sweet and luxurious nightly services as well, and so on and so on.
まさに勝ち組。
So delusional, dude. Nah, that's not happening, my man. When I came back to myself, I was still seated on the sofa in the lobby. glanced around in puzzlement, unable to grasp my situation. A hunchback old lady was sitting next to me. Her eyes were buried in wrinkles, and I couldn't tell whether she was sleeping or awake. When I looked at the clock above the reception counter, it indicated that an hour has passed since I first began waiting here in the lobby. Had it all been a dream? I might have dozed off as I waited, due to not having slept since yesterday. Wait a second. It would have been so nice if the dream were reality. I was terribly disappointed. In the end, I was forced to wait another 2 hours before they finally called my name. When I entered the examination room, I experienced a hallucination that I was having a repeat of the same dream as before. Dr. Takashini looked just the same as he had in my dream. No, it wasn't simply that he hadn't changed in the 4 years since we last met. He didn't rise from his chair or offer me a handshake.
今日はどうしました？
Not like in my dream. I think I'll get all nostalgic about reuniting with me.
西条です。
ん？ああ、これはご丁寧に。高階です。はじめまして。
He bowed his head to me with a smile. I couldn't say anything. Nice to meet you. What was that he said to me just now? No mistaking it. He had forgotten about me. Of course, 4 years has passed since then. But I thought no one else would remember me. I had embraced such expectations all on my own. But upon having them shattered, my heart abruptly began to overflow with loneliness and emptiness. I felt that he denied my existence. He looked at me in the eye as he spoke. I averted my gaze.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、何かあったのかな？
Yes, that's what I'd written on the questionnaire form. But there was no longer any point if he didn't remember me then.
別にいいじゃん。先生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
Alright. I didn't come here to see Dr. Takashina. I come to prove that I was a normal human being. Reuniting with Dr. Takashina was nothing more than a bonus. So he forgot me. So what? If Seraton hadn't warned me in time, I had been in danger of losing sight of myself.
自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか？
おお。
知り合いからそう指摘されて混乱しちゃって。
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
Yua's eyes had been serious. It hadn't seemed at all like that she was teasing me. At the very least, Yua herself believed what she was saying.
わかりません。
なるほど。ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？
はあ？
What was he saying all of a sudden? When did it have to do anything?
いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。その知り合いの人は君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
Oh, so that's what he'd meant. I shook my head.
じゃあ証拠はないわけだ。
I shook my head once more.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて。
そういうことか。ちなみに これまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
いえ。
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
いえ。
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
I nodded feebly, then took the plunge and opened my mouth.
僕、寝てないんです。
もしかして怖いのかな。でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
いや、その。
That wasn't it. That wasn't what I wanted to say. But I didn't know I didn't know not what the fuck. I didn't know how to explain it, and I couldn't get my thoughts in order, and I remained at a loss. I lost a chance to speak up. After scribbling something on his clipboard, Dr. Takashina spun the chair as he was seen, so that his back was facing me, and leaned towards the back of the examining room.
葉月くん、ちょっと。
はい。
A young nurse came running over. The doctor whispered some direction to her while showing her his clipboard, and she soon returned to the back of the room. What was going on? As I sat there in confusion, Dr. Takashina turned back to face me. Next, he voiced all about, oh my gosh, this word, some somnambulisms in a gentle tone of voice. When people fall asleep, they start off in REM sleep, then shift to non-REM sleep. REM sleep is what happens when your body is resting but your mind remains active. You can stay close to awakening. And in opposition to that, non-REM sleep is what happens when your brain pauses activity, and you fall into a much deeper level of slumber.
無遊病はノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。脳が通常の活動をしていないから普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。原因としては精神的なストレスを抱えてる時になりやすいんだ。子供に多い症状だけど成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。これ。
But I hadn't been asleep. Though I hadn't slept, I couldn't remember what I'd done. As for the period when Shogun had posted his part on the chat from room 37, I thought I was playing into it the whole time. Is this really what you call somnambulism? So, that's a word. I wanted to ask him, but Dr. Takashina was steadily advancing his side of the conversation.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのはここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。ただ特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。例えば自分のベッドじゃないとダメとか、意識がない状態で出歩くにしても目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか、それとも何らかの脅迫観念があってそれに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。
I think that's dialogue. For instance, it might have to be your own bed. Oh God, that was.
それに君の精神状態についても特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけど、ここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。
Is that all I have to say?
どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
There would be no harm in letting them check up on me. After I proved I wasn't a sleepwalker, I'd ask him my original question. The nurse named Hazuki led to a diagnostic bed in the back. Due to the fact that it wasn't meant to be slept on, it was hard and uncomfortable. Well, I had no trouble dealing with it once I compared it to the sofa I usually slept on.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに行きますから。
This nurse was awfully cute. Laying on the bed, I stole glances at her while avoiding her meeting her eye. Her slightly childlike features made her seem undependable, somehow, and she gave off an aura of misfortune. But she was brisk and efficient when it came to her work. She felt like the type of heroine who might appear in an old school eroge, one about twisted sex in hospitals.
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
In other words, she would make sure of my safety, even if I manifested symptoms of sleepwalking and started wandering around.
それではごゆっくり。
The nurse gave me a small smile, closed the curtains, and left. Surrounded by a blank white curtains, I released a deep breath. From around me I could hear the voices of the doctor and a patient he was examining. Sounds of other nurse pitter-pattering around, and the sounds of the examining room door opening and closing. It's really hard to calm down. Would I able to fall asleep under these conditions? I have suspicions, if I dare go for a good delusion. I'll call it a hunch. So I'm gonna do something different. Let's go with a bad delusion this time. Couldn't go wrong. No matter what I did, the grill photos from Shogun and a cruelly murdered body from the scene of the staking seemed about to float into my head. So I forcefully began picturing Seiratan.
タッキー、外出嫌いなのに病院来るなんてすごい。
Honestly, I still don't see the appeal behind Seita. I don't know Takumi.
私前から思ってたんだけどさ、タッキーって実はすごく強い男の子だよね。
Sarah was quite lively in my fantasies. She sang out to me in that cute voice of hers.
私、そんなタッキーの強さが好き。それに、タッキーは無遊病なんかじゃないよ。私、毎日タッキーのこと見てるもん。だからわかるんさ。三次元女になんか騙されちゃダメだぞ。タッキーには私がいるっしょ。
You can imagine the audible question marks I'm having right now with this whole thing.
またコンテナハウスで二人きりで過ごそうね。オッケーなす。
Should I even say anything to that? Might as well. You're so adorable, Seiratan. Seiratan was my ideal bride after all. No woman could surpass her. Third dimension? What the heck was that? I want to go home. I want to go back and have Seiratan greet me with a smile and welcome home. Wait for me, Seiratan. I'll be home soon, so... Oh boy, what can go wrong? When she opened the door of the examining room, the physician welcomed her. Wait, what the hell? The physician welcomed her with a cheerful smile.
今日はどうしました？
She scanned the area. ignoring his questions. It wasn't a very large room. There were two clipboards spread out atop of the physician's desk, one holding a blank white paper and the other covered with words in a foreign language. She was said to be a demon. Everyone called her that, even her parents. She no longer cared about whether she had been a demon from the start, whether she had become that way because it was what everyone called her. In any case, she had killed 8 people over the past month. The public was in an uproar, calling it madness and what have you. But from her point of view, it wasn't an especially remarkable number. After all, she was a demon.
何か気になりますか?
Oh boy.
もし気になるものがあるなら言ってください。どかしますから。
As befit a psychiatrist, he was very considerate towards his patients. Amused, she opened the bag she had brought with her. What she slowly took out from within it was a 24-centimeter long ashimi knife.
それとももっと広い部屋に変え
Seeing it, the physician was rendered speechless mid-sentence. His expression went stiff. Picking up on his fears, she smiled tenderly. This physician would be her 9th. He wasn't her original target, only stopped along the way. She set her bag down and took a single large, soundless stride towards his physician. She used her momentum to dive towards him, piercing him with her knife. The knife penetrating his chest slipped past his breastbone and reached his heart. The physician died with a single stab. Already reduced to a mere object, he collapsed, toppling towards her. She supported him long enough to withdraw the knife, then shoved the object away with her elbow. The white doctor's coat was worn by the object. Lying face up on the floor was turning scarlet. Drawn by the sound, a nurse saw it and screamed. She knelt as she stepped on the doctor's body and slashed her knife at the nurse. Fresh blood flew out. It wasn't a fatal, but a gaping wound has been carved into the nurse's meek face. Laying out a howl, the nurse curled up in place, holding her face. Vast amounts of blood overflowed from between the fingers she pressed to her wound. Ignoring this, she continued towards the back of the examination room. That nurse wasn't supposed to be the 10th. It was an occasion worth celebrating. Her 10th. Two digits. That was why it had to be her original target, just as she planned. The other patients and nurses had already started screaming and running away. It was becoming a racket, yet their voices failed to reach her ears. She sought him out, confident only of the fact that he was there. Her eyes stopped on a curtain. The curtain that surrounded an area about 1 or 2 tatami mats in size. That was mostly likely a bed inside it. You must be there. Her heart palpitated in joy. Her lower abdomen went hot at the thought that she would finally be able to kill him. Slowly approaching the curtain, she decided in the end to rip it apart with her knife, rather than open normally. When she peered through the newly opened tear, he was, as expected, lying there. Found you. She lost all restraint when she saw him. She opened the curtain and stood next to the bed. He was sleeping with a slightly pained expression on his face. She twinned her fingers in his hair and gently stroked it. He didn't wake up. She gripped the knife in both hands. She raised her arms on high. She was aiming for his heart. With a single blow, just like the doctor. I'll kill you. In ecstasy, She lowered the knife with all her might. That was gruesome. Holy crap. When I leapt awake, I was atop the bed, unchanged. My heart was pounding in alarm. I checked my chest. There wasn't any injuries to speak of. No blood emerged. I was unhurt. I looked around. The curtain was closed. It had been torn apart by her knife. I reached stealthily for the curtain. If I opened it, and Dr. Takashina and Hazuki-san were lying there, covered in blood, my body broke out in shivers again as I envisioned it.
夢だよな。
I couldn't muster courage to open the curtain. What if a sea of blood lay behind it? What if that demon girl was standing there, knife in hand? These thoughts terrified me in an action. But then... Shit, dude, calm down. Right before my eyes, someone opened the curtain from outside. Shrieking before I could stop myself, I tumbled off the bed.
大丈夫ですか？
I fearfully raised my face. Hazuki-san was looking down at me. Her eyes round, there was no traces of red blood on her white uniform, and her face was completely uninjured.
ごめんなさい。驚かせてしまって。起きているとは思わなかったので。
いえ。
She'd seen me at my most pathetic. Turned my face aside and reeled to my feet. My heartbeat still wouldn't settle down. But thank God it had been a dream. It was like I'd been watching a horror flick.
本当に大丈夫？
Worried, Hazuki-san looked at me more closely. I was too bashful to lift my face. It took my great effort to nod
少
jerkily.
しうなされていたみたいでしたけど。
怖い夢を見て。
そう。
What time was it? How long had I been asleep? I decided to ask Hazuki-san. Surprisingly enough, she said it had been 3 hours. It looked like I was more exhausted than I thought.
でも無遊病の症状は結局出ませんでしたよ。
Thank you for not letting me say that. Hazuki-san told me in a tone meant to reassure me.
まあ今日はたまたま症状が出なかっただけかもしれないから無遊病でないっていう断定はできないですけど。
No, I'm not a sleepwalker. More importantly, I had to ask Dr. Takashina my key question. But I didn't see him anywhere. Hazuki-san handed me a one-sheet document. When I accepted it absent-mindedly and I skimmed it, turned out to be formatted as a questionnaire.
それはあなたの心理状態を把握するためのチェックシートです。心理テストのようなものね。それを書いてくれたら今日はもう帰っていいって先生が。
先生は。
ごめんなさい。ずっと診察が続いてて。来週まで様子を見て、まだ改善が見られないようならもう一度来てくださいって。
Well, it's not like he's my personal doctor. He must have given Hazuki-san varieties instructions about what to do with me. This meant there had to be no meaning to my coming all the way out here into the hospital. I wanted to ask him my petrifying symptoms, about how I was being manipulated by someone outside myself. That said, with Hazuki-san looking at me so apologetically, I didn't have the bravery to demand, "Take me to Dr. Takashina." Helpless, I ended up filling out the checklist and she handed it to me. I'd write about the symptoms that were plaguing me on the back of the page, and I come to see him again next week.
チェックシートは質問に対してイエスかノーかだけを答える簡単なものですから。当てはまる点があったらイエスにチェックしてくださいね。今後の西條さんの治療に対する参考にしますから、じっくり考えて答えてください。
Hazuki-san went out her way to explain it to me so thoroughly. Among the items on his sheet were one so strange that they didn't seem to belong there in the context of a standard hospital. It was like a psychological test. Would there actually be able to understand anything based on my answers to a question like this? Hazuki-san watched it that's a fucking word. I'm sorry. Unwaveringly. There you go. She didn't move to leave. It didn't feel like she had too much time to spare. More like she was observing me. No, watching over me. My nervousness at being watched made it hard for me to think. Was this also part of her job as a nurse? For the time being, I decided to hurry up and get it over with. Alright. So, this is where, it gets interesting. I guess to make this pretty brief, with the original PC release of Chaos Head, all these questions, as far as I know, they don't matter in the grand scheme of things. They just gave it to you, I don't know, just to fuck with you just a little bit. Or maybe I don't know, maybe they're to influence, like, future things coming for the later chapters. I think with the Xbox 360 release and so forth, with Chaos Head Noah, the updated releases, these choices actually matter now, I think. That's what I think anyway. I never got this far, so I'm not sure what's going on. But let me just do a save here. Once again, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna answer it as if I'm talking to me. Is there more? Yeah, see, there's like a whole list. It's kind of cool. Kind of. Once again, I'm just like projecting as if I'm talking to me or something. I don't know. Is that it? Nope. Oh my gosh, there's like a whole list. Gosh. Alright, that's the end part. But once again, I'm not sure what these questions do on the PC release or the OG. But otherwise, press
はい、
OK.
お疲れ様でした。
Though I hadn't said anything, Hazuki-san spoke to me at exactly the same time I finished marking the last statement. I was mortified that she watched me the whole time. Maybe my face had started to turn red, which was why I meekly returned the checklist without looking in Hazuki's direction. I didn't have enough time to write down my symptoms on the back of the page.
それでは待合室でお待ちください。お薬が出てますから。
え、薬？
I was getting medicine? Dr. Takashina hadn't said a single word to that effect, but...
ええ、先生の指示で。弱い精神安定剤です。ぐっすり眠れるようになるし、副作用などもありませんよ。
I see. How like him. How considerate. And I became depressed at the prospect of having to wait in the lobby again. Hopefully we don't have to see that part. It was evening by the time I returned to Shibuya. The hospital was technically part of Shibuya, but station-wise, Yoyogi was closer, so taking the train was the fastest way to get there. But Yamanote line was as packed as always. And though I had to ride only past 2 stations, this round trip alone wore me out a lot. It'd be agonizing to take the train any further, so I got off to the Shibuya station and walked back to my base. And for all that, there were too many people in front of the station. I hate huge crowds. They make my head spin. Not wanting to stay any longer than I had to, I tried to cross the pedestrian scramble. Let me just do one brief check. But it took a big effort just to walk in a straight line here. If I swayed even a tiny bit, I'd bump into the people passing me and overtaking me. Plus, people handing out free tissues kept getting in my way, forcing pocket-sized tissues packs at me. Sick and tired of it. I ignored first guy, but second one turned out to be a rather cute lady, so I took hers. Those tissue distributors are a serious hassle. Don't stand smack in the middle of the street like that. Oh, well, but I'd go ahead and take them since they're free. Tissue packs I've taken have come with a flyer, which consisted solely on a white letters on the background of a red paper. It's pretty freaky looking. You don't see this kind of color usage all that often. I read as nonchalantly as I walked. Let me actually see that. Once again, at this point, this is all new to me. Supplies of type B blood are currently inadequate. The demand for transfusion exceeds Shibuya's supply of type B blood. At this rate, it will become terribly difficult to provide adequate amount of blood when needed. Alright. It was a blood donation flyer. Reading it, I recalled a checklist I filled out at the hospital earlier. I couldn't remember filling out something like that 4 years ago. Maybe their diagnostic methods changed recently. Yet for some reason their checklist seems familiar. Deja vu. All that I felt lately was deja vu. It made me sick. The fact that my own mind and body wouldn't act the way I wanted them to. I dug through my memory in the hope of somehow being able to pin down the source of this deja vu. The days when my mother took me to hospital every week, I kept my mouth shut at all times, and indicated where my will lay solely by nodding or shaking my head. At first, they had looked at me in a regular examining room, but when I first showed no signs of getting better, they eventually started taking me to another room. It's what you call a counseling room, with a sofa and a lot of stuffed animals lying around. A space with one goal: to make patients relax. Without blaming anyone, Dr. Takashina persevered in trying to treat me. He was the only one who knows that it wasn't that I couldn't speak. It was simply that I chose not to. My mother talked to me about all kinds of things in a falsely bright voice. Dr. Takashina always greeted me with a refreshing smile. The nurses were nice to me too, and I had a feeling that there's always been one more person in the room. Right. He wore a solid black suit, which was very odd since we were in a hospital. He was always silent, like me, and I never even heard his voice. At the end, I couldn't find out anything about him, because behavior and atmosphere wasn't like a hospital physician. He always stood off by himself, gazing out the window. I internally call him Nozomi-san, not because he said it was his name.
Nozomi.
Nozomi, huh? the suit-clad man always wore a small badge on his chest. The word Nozomi was inscribed there, but since it had the design of a logo, it couldn't have been his name tag. Right, Nozomi had always been printed on the check sheet. And I did the thing again because my goddamn laptop is as sensitive as balls. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. I remember now. Now to move my mouse away. But that aside, what was this Nozomi? The only certainty was that it must be the same name. Must be the name of a
のぞ
corporation.
みさんっていう美人女社長が設立したカウンターテロ組織とか、漫画みたいだ。
When I got back to my base, I immediately ran an online search for Nozomi. A ton of results came out, and I had no way of narrow them down to one. While thinking about it normally, Nozomi's son could be the employee who had made the after-mentioned checklist, or maybe a salesman who would come to the hospital with his wares, that kind of thing. And lately, they finally started to make use of his stuff, including the sheets they had filled me out today. Nah, the chances of what they were pretty damn slim. I never heard of them letting an outsider like that sit in the patient's session. I'm so sorry, Nigawater. My throat's been getting dry the whole time, actually, so. Yeah, I never heard of them letting an outsider like that sit in a patient's session. In the end, who or had Nozomi's son been? I got fed up once again at the emergence of these nagging memories. Whatever the case, I'd identified the source of my deja vu. Next week, I decided I would consult with Dr. Takashina about my memory issue. After seeing him, I'd shut myself again and stop going to school. I couldn't go to school, not when it was full of people trying to turd me. Truthfully, I didn't really want to get my minimum attendance shift chart too messed up, but it wasn't worth dying for. I stopped running searches about Nozomi and began browsing for interesting looking threads on that channel. News boards consisted almost entirely of new gen related stuff. Staking, pregnant man, group diving. I completely lost my patience when even the Insua boards turned out to have threads like, let's try reenacting the new gen murders in Insua. Grim was there when I went to WoW in Insua. Oh, this is another thing. I flinch as the dim eye of the girl I'd spotted at the scene of the staking murders grazed my brain. I didn't want to keep remembering like this, but the second I let my guard down, the ominous memory came flooding back. Yeah, I'd seen the criminal's face. I know who she was. Should I have reported her to the police? But I didn't want her to get caught up in it. Seriously? That meant I wouldn't be able to jump in on the conversation when we were all chatting up. To be fair, I had mistaken the stick the body for an object d'art. So if I were forced to put it one way or the other, then yeah, maybe it did have artistic qualities. God damn it, Grim. I don't want to see it because it's terrifying. I want to escape. I don't want to escape reality that I'd witnessed the scene of a crime. With that one goal in mind, I'd gone back on blocking out every piece of new gen related news. By doing so, I hoped to convince myself that the gruesome spectacle that that I'd seen been an illusion. But in this way, I was on the same level as God, as a god. It wasn't enough merely to be strong. I also had to know about anything and everything. To say nothing of the fact that I was the closest thing our guild had to be a lead. Yeah, I'm so sorry. To say nothing of the fact that I was the closest thing our guild had to leader. As a person in charge of getting everyone organized, it'd be way too humiliating if I couldn't keep with their conversations. I had to avoid that. I head over to the wiki Grim had told me about. The title New Gen Wiki was displayed in huge letters on the homepage. Compilation sites like this are example of a type of wiki, where an indeterminate amount of people post news and information about a specific topic. A new gen wiki like this was bound to be fairly fast moving, with all kinds of people posting stuff related to the new gen case. Untrustworthy information and flaming were mixed in, but it was convenient because of how easy it made it to understand the big picture. There were a lot of links passed in too. I started reading one called A Timeline Up to the Present. My heartbeat started beating faster. I was nervous, even though all I was doing was reading a website. The palms of my hands were soaked in sweat. In the first incident, commonly known as the group dive, 5 co-ed high schoolers committed suicide together. Was it September 7th? Yeah, September 7th, approximately a month ago, in mid of the night, at Shibuya's Cornelius Tower. They leapt from the heliport on top of the building and died instantaneously. Autopsy revealed that each of them had scratch marks and foreign bits of flesh under their fingernail. It was theorized that they had been holding each other's hand when they jumped off. There was nothing resembling a will or suicide note left behind on the roof. By going to Cornelius's tower in person, an online personality known as Snake discovered that only employees were given access to the rooftop, and that the door leading there was practically always bolted shut. Naturally, it was also locked at the time of the incident. The key to the roof hadn't been found among any of the 5 victims' belongings. In short, circumstances suggested that the rooftop helipad had been sealed to entry, and it remained completely unclear as to how the 5 students had gone in. There was a high possibility that someone aside from the 5 had been present at the time of the incident. The second case, commonly known as the pregnant man, occurred on September 19th, 12 days after the first case. Early in the morning, a college student going home after karaoke sighted a blood-drenched male corpse in the area near the underside of the Shibuya Station overpass. The man, Konoe Chizuo, 21, was enrolled in a Shibuya area college, and though he already died by the time his body was discovered, his abdomen had been unnaturally swollen. According to the autopsy, someone had opened his abdomen, shoved a newborn fetus in his stomach, and sewn it back together. A DNA analysis established that the fact that the victim and the fetus were not blood relatives. The victim was unmarried and not been carrying any on relationships with women. Any relationships. Online speculators believe that since the fetus had been approximately 32 weeks old, it must have been removed from its mother's body via a C-section. But no one knew who the mother was, for she could be found or what she was doing at the present, or even whether she was alive or dead. Perhaps the police had tracked her whereabouts, but at the very least, they didn't announce it to the public. On the verge of vomiting, I turned my eyes away from the monitor. How revolting. The perpetrator had to be insane. And on top of all of that, to think that this vicious murder might have been committed by that girl. Japan is over. I stared at Seraton to help my eyes recover. Somehow managed to stabilize my mental state. I thought about taking the medicine Dr. Takashina had given me, but it looked like I could still succeed in gaining with just Seraton. It was tough having to read this guru, even for the sake of preserving my reputation as Neidhart. Wait, what? There was a delusion?
そんなに辛いならさ、読まなくていいって。
Was there an option for a delusion?
Taki がド M ってんなら別に止めないけど、辛そうなタッキーは見てられないさ。もうやめよう。いつもみたく私にハーハーしてもいいからさ。
Once again, I'm not sure what's going on. But I am gonna doubt nothing's gonna happen. Oh, Sarah was so kind to me. Sarah was the only one who would stay as my ally, as expected since she was my wife. Okay, good, nothing happened, but Jesus, dude, you got me worried there. I rested my chin in my hand and took deep breaths as I gazed at Sarah's smile. I refuse to say that time. I could feel her healing me. If I kept my eyes on Sarah as I read, maybe I would be able to hold out a little longer. I decided to put this practice without delay. For starters, why had two cases without any common features whatsoever been collectively labeled New Gen and treated like the same thing? The group dive had initially been treated solely as if the victims had committed suicide. After the pregnant man incident, however, people online reinvestigated the group dive, and once they discovered an unnatural circumstance surrounding it, maybe they were killed in such a way so as to make it look like suicide began to spread around as a new explanation. The parents and close friends of the 5 who died in the group dive kept saying that there was no way they would ever commit suicide. At that point, the mass media seized on the fact that both cases had occurred in Shibuya and began using new generation madness in their sensational. That's a fucking word right there. And I'm sorry. In their sensationalistic headlines, which was said to be how it all got started. And then the third incident, the one I had witnessed, commonly known as the staking homicide. Since few days have passed since the case opened, the wiki site didn't contain a lot of information on it yet. about all that had been made public was that the victim was Ota Hisaishi, a 56-year-old college professor, and that the murderer had used stakes to pin his corpse to the concrete wall of the abandoned house. Residents of the neighborhood where the criminal took place reported hearing a sound like someone hammering, starting at around 8 p.m., time when the murder was estimated to have been committed, and lasting for over an hour. I heard it as well. That clung to my ears. A nasty sound. On a side note, no connection between it and the group dive or the pregnant man had been uncovered yet. However, since it was the third bizarre incident to happen in the very same Shibuya, people naturally started treating the staking murder case as part of the new gen phenomenon. The police and media viewed the three cases as have been the work of different people. But according to the online commentary, or more properly, online expectations, them having been committed by the same criminal or by the same group of people was the most popular explanation. It seems like a lot of places online also gave it an occult explanation, or some believe that everything stemmed back to the earthquake 2 months earlier. 2 months ago, magnitude 3.0 earthquake had occurred, with Shibuya at its center. 8 people died, despite the fact that it had been a relatively small-scale event, and as a result, it became a big topic of conversation. But now that they mention it, true enough, the new gen cases had begun after that earthquake. Thus, the people who support the occult explanation for new gen argued that the 8 deaths from the earthquake should be counted as the first new gen incident, which led to fierce debates between them and those who support the most popular explanation, the same criminal theory. In any case, the true abnormal part of all this was that, though 3 brutal crimes had occurred in succession, no clues as to the perpetrator's identity had been discovered in any of them. And many online voices were eager for a fourth incident to take place. If I hadn't been involved, I would have doubtlessly joined in on the festival, and maybe I would have been waiting with bated breath for a 4th case. Damn it, those bastards sure have it easy.
犯人を早く捕まえてくれよ。
Over a week has passed since the staking, but near that demon girl, North Police had shown any signs of a movement. If they were aware that I'd been in that area, surely the police would at least have come to question me. But at the moment, they didn't seem to be doing anything about it. Thank goodness. Looks like I'm not getting dragged into it.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
The words you had thrust at me passed through my head.
予知能力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
I'd been feeling reassured, but 1 second was all that it took to send me right back into my gloom. The image Shogun had transmitted to me. Even now it lingered inside my PC as data. What you had told me was just a product of her own delusions. It was too incoherent just to hold together logically. I had gone to ask about it at the hospital today, but it didn't make any sense for me to be acting differently, unbeknownst to myself during the gaps in my memories. It never happened before, not even once, which was why that girl picture totally had to be a composite.
だったらさ、
I'm just gonna block the screen for a moment. I'm just being really cautious right now. I'm so sorry.
合成だって証拠を見つけちゃえばいい。
Oh, it's safe. Let me just show this again. Gotta be a little cautious about these things, you know? But it made me sick, so I didn't want to look at it very much.
あの女を論破しちゃえばタッキーはもう怯えることなく平穏な生活に戻れるんだよ。やるしかないっしょ。
True enough, it's just as you say. You had talked about it like I was the perpetrator of the staking, but that was out of question, because I myself had seen the perp's face. Like I let you force guilt for the crime on me. I sucked in a sharp breath and double-clicked on the folder where the image should have been cached. Alright, I'm just gonna do this one last part and then I'll probably stop. I'm beginning to run out of energy again. I'm so sorry if someone was expecting me to do a 2-hour thing. I'm just not feeling it. It had been 3 days since Ban Yasuji had last entered Shibuya Police Department's main conference room. The meeting to discuss the investigation of the Maruyama-cho staking homicide had already begun, and everyone glared at Ban when he came in late. Smiling amiably, Ban lowered himself into a seat at one of the tables lined up at the front. The room didn't have the kind of atmosphere where he could say his reason for being late was because he gone on the runs and then been cooped up in the bathroom. In wee hours of the morning after it occurred, the Maruyama-cho staking homicide case had been assigned to Shibuya's police department, which now housed the headquarters of the investigation. The investigation division, already busy with the Cornelius group suicide case and the Shibuya Station College student and fetus homicide, were forced to recruit even useless third-rate assistant inspectors like Ban from the central Tokyo station. Moreover, since everything had been taking place in the area under the Shibuya Police Department's jurisdiction, they were caught in the bizarre situation of having 3 special investigative headquarters located in the same station. It was thanks to this that the 3 investigation teams were forced to take turns using the station's big conference room. There were rumors that since the media had been cultivating the new gen label, and the police were short-handed, the 3 teams might be combined to the new gen investigation headquarters. All the detectives thought this was a moronic idea, no better than a gag.
警部補君の報告を
Inspector Matsunuga, Ban's boss, and the person responsible for the investigative team looked at Ban sharply as he addressed them. Paying him a little heed, however, Ban flopped a fan at his face and took a breath.
警部補バン警部補聞いているのか
呼ばれてるっすよ。バンさんの報告待ちなんすから。ちょっと。
When the newbie sitting next to Ban, who also happened to be his partner Suwa, hissed into his ear, Ban finally realized he was being called on.
すんません。報告は諏訪から。
自分っすか？
俺がいなくても報告しとけって言っといたろうが。早くしろ。
After Ban elbowed him a little, Suwa let out a short sigh and stood up energetically.
犯行現場近くの監視カメラの解析がようやく出たっす。出ました。犯行時間に不審な人物が映ってました。
Sorry about that. The meeting room stirred. The slackening air underwent an instantaneous transformation. The Shibuya Station detectives, seated at long tables at the bench of the room that faced Ban and the others from the central station, began urgently taking notes so as to not miss a moment of Suwa's report. They were desperate. After all, with 2 savage murders having occurred in a single month, so the 2 group suicides had not yet been conclusively labeled as homicide. It was natural for them to become prepared to stake everything on seizing the perpetrator, even their reputations.
プロジェクターに映像を出します。
As Bond has previously instructed him, Sue aimed a projector at the screen. A black and white film of one of Maruyamacho's narrow, filthy alleyways was reflected here there. It was hard to see anything, given it was night. There were few streetlights.
犯行現場から約50メートル離れたところにあるコインパーキングの監視カメラです。
The coin-operated lot was small, so I had room for only 2 cars. It had been unjustifiably constructed in a tiny space between buildings. One could not see the crime scene in the field of the camera's picture. One couldn't even see the road that crossed in front of it. What the film showed was a certain street about a block away from the crime scene. On a side note, there was no sound to accompany it. The time of recording was neatly displayed in the lower right side of the screen. Currently read 2134.
犯行現場近隣の住民の証言により、21時過ぎから21時半頃まで釘を打ちつける音がしていたというのはご承知の通りだと思いますが、この映像は21時34分、つまりまさに犯行時間直後ということになります。不審人物が映っているのは21時34分53秒からおよそ6秒間です。駐車場の前の道を奥から手前へと走り抜けていきます。
Oh, hey. I wonder who that is. As soon as Sue finished his explanation, a human figure emerged into the picture, acting considerably flustered, and dashed from the depths of the screen to the foreground. Due to the poor resolution, a brief shot like that was enough to let anyone determine whether the figure was male or female. However, Bond had already asked the forensic division to analyze this for him.
科捜研で解析した結果、映っている人物は男、年齢は10代後半から20代とのことっす。人相の判別までは無理でした。服装がかなり特徴的ですが、これは小島にある私立水明学園の男子制服と分かりました。それと右手に注目してもらいたいんですが、
The picture zoomed in on the suspicious figure's right hand. He'd appeared to be gripping something.
スローで再生するとわかるが、走りながら腕を振っている際、この握りしめている何かが駐車場の照明に反射して光を放ってるんだな、これが。
Bond took over for Sue right when things were starting to get good. I'm dying, but if you can tell.
形状からして犯行に使われた十字架型の杭である可能性がある。
The detectives grew noisy again. Seeing that the perpetrator of the staking homicide might be a high schooler, it was a minor shock to them. It meant that the mass media's inflammatory catchphrase, "the new generation madness," could very well become a reality.
最も犯人に近い人物がこの少年だということか。
そういうことになりますね。
Bond rubbed his unshaven chin. It was a habit of his, when he sensed that he'd driven a wrongdoers and stepped into a corner. It pleased him to make sure of that ever prickly sensation.
以上です。
Sue let out a deep breath and settled back down.
ひどいっすよ先輩。美味しいところ持ってって。
Disregarding Sue's complaint, Bond once again looked at the projector, saw as the burned male high school student's figure into his eyes.
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。そいつを掴んで離さねえようにしないとな。
I think that's it for that scene. Yep. Hey, look. Yeah, I know it's starting to get good now, but I gotta stop here. But we made good progress as always. We're getting down to the good bits now. It's a bit of it starts off slow, I admit, but when it gets good, it gets good. And I think we're finally getting there finally. So, I guess that raises once again the question of when will I stream again? I got work for like maybe the whole weekend, so I can't really stay there. But I'm gonna try my best and say I want to say maybe Tuesday. Tuesday after my class. Not when I get home, mind you, but like maybe later in the night. Around there, I'll probably do another stream of this. I'll try my best and see how that goes. If not, I can always do Thursday, maybe Friday. Around there. But I think I already saved, yeah. I think it saved. 5 hours. Well, nearly 6, but yeah. Next week I'll probably continue doing this. And the game's getting good, by the way, as I've said. And I'm looking forward to how this goes. But for now, I'm gonna call it off. So thanks for coming, and yeah, see you later, guys.